The warden of Detention Complex 93 had seen a lot in his 4 centuries of service, but standing before the holding cell that morning, staring at the creature that had just been dumped into his facility, he felt something he hadn't experienced in 200 years. Confusion. Warden Krell tapped his datapad with one of his 6 fingers, mandibles clicking in what might have been amusement or disgust. This is what Central Command considers maximum security worthy. The human, strapped to an anti-gravity gurney, looked back at him with eyes that were, well, frankly unimpressive, 2 of them, positioned right in the front of its head like some sort of prey animal. No protective plating, no venomous glands, not even decent claws. Warden Krell, the transport officer, a nervous Vexian named Torth, handed over the digital manifest. Command was very specific. This one goes into the vault. Krell's primary eyes widened. His secondary eyes narrowed. The vault? We haven't used that section since the Kragoth incident. I know, sir. That's where we kept the Harvester of 12 Worlds. I know, sir. The thing that ate an entire diplomatic delegation. Yes, sir? Krell looked back at the human. It was awake now, blinking slowly, probably still drugged from the transport. It wore the standard prison uniform, which hung loosely on its frame. Pathetic. What did it do? Krell asked, scrolling through the file. Oh, let me guess. Hacked into a government database? Stole something shiny? These flesh bags are known for their petty thievery. Torth shifted uncomfortably. Sir, the file is sealed above my clearance and yours. That got Krell's attention. All 4 eyes focused on the transport officer. Say again. The details of the crime are classified at the Galactic Council level. I was told to deliver the prisoner, ensure proper containment protocols, and leave. That's it. The human made a sound, a sort of exhale, through its nose. Was it? Oh, you think this is funny? Krell moved closer to the gurney, all 4 eyes studying the creature. Up close it was even less impressive. Smooth skin, barely any protective features. You know where you are? Meat thing? This facility has held some of the most dangerous beings in the known galaxy. War criminals, psychic predators, things that would crack your fragile little bones and suck out the marrow before you could even scream. The human's lips curved upward. Definitely a smile. A predatory one. In 1,000 years, Krell continued, his voice dropping to what he thought was a menacing whisper. Not a single prisoner has ever escaped from Complex 93. Not one. Do you understand what that means? The human spoke for the first time. Its voice was rough, probably from the sedatives, but clear enough. It means you're due. Krell blinked, all 4 eyes in sequence. What? Statistics, buddy. The human's smile widened. Nothing lasts forever. Every winning streak ends. Every unbreakable record gets broken. It's just math. Its name is Marcus Webb. Torth interjected quickly, clearly wanting to finish this handoff and leave. Human. Male.
Age 32 standard years.
That's all I can tell you. 32? Krell laughed, a chittering sound that echoed off the walls. A child. A literal child by most species standards. And they want me to put it in the vault? Orders, sir. Krell waved a dismissive claw. Fine. Fine. Take it down. Level 12. Cell Omega 7. Full isolation protocols. Force fields. Motion sensors. Neural dampeners. The works. If this thing so much as sneezes, I want to know about it. As the guards wheeled Marcus away, Krell returned to his office, already forgetting about the human. Another prisoner. Another number in the system. Another nobody who would rot in a cell until the end of their days. He really should have paid more attention. But Dispellers, horse. Kulsits. 3 weeks later, Senior Guard Vixtan was making his rounds through Level 12, or night shift, or what passed for night in a facility that existed in the void between stars. The lights were dimmed, the silence broken only by the hum of generators, and the occasional clank of the environmental systems. He paused outside Cell Omega 7. The human was awake, sitting on the edge of its sleep platform, staring at the wall. Can't sleep, prisoner? Vixtan asked. He didn't particularly care, but he was bored, and talking to the inmates sometimes made the hours pass faster. Marcus turned his head. Just thinking. About what? How badly you messed up to end up here. About exits. Vixtan laughed. There are no exits. This is Complex 93. You'll die here, human. Probably of old age, which for your species is, what, another 60 years? 70? Blink of an eye, really. Everything has an exit, Marcus replied calmly. Even places designed not to. It's one of those universal truths, like entropy, or the fact that guards always get chatty on the night shift. Chatty? Vixtan's crest flared slightly. An insult. I'm not chatty. You came over here to talk to me, didn't you? That's just protocol. Prisoner wellness checks. Sure. Marcus laid back down on the platform, hands behind his head. Hey, quick question. Those force fields on the cell door, they cycle, right? For power efficiency. Vixtan's eyes narrowed. Why would you ask that? Just curious. I've been listening to the hum. It's not constant. There's a pattern. About every 8 hours, there's a momentary fluctuation, maybe 0.03 seconds.
Probably when the system switches to backup generators for maintenance.
That's how would you even... Vixtan checked his datapad. The human was right. There was a scheduled power rotation, but 0.03 seconds, that was nothing. Undetectable without instrumentation. You can't hear that, Vixtan said firmly. Can't I? Marcus smiled at the ceiling.
Hey!
Humans have pretty good pattern recognition. Survival trait. Back when we were dodging predators on Earth, we had to notice the little things. The snap of a twig, the shift in the wind, the way grass moves when something's hiding in it. That's irrelevant. 0.03 seconds isn't enough time to do anything. Probably not, Marcus agreed. But it's interesting, isn't it? The fact that even in a facility designed to be escape-proof, there are still little gaps, little moments of vulnerability, makes you wonder what else might be lurking in the system. Vixtan felt something uncomfortable crawl down his spine. Stop trying to get in my head, human. I'm not trying anything, just making conversation. You started it, remember? The guard moved away from the cell, his good mood thoroughly soured. He made a note in his report. Prisoner shows unusual observational skills. Recommend increased monitoring. Warden Krell read the note the next morning and dismissed it. Humans were talkers. They bluffed. They tried to sound smarter than they were. It was all psychological games. He deleted the note and forgot about it. By week 6, Marcus had become something of a curiosity among the staff. Not because he caused trouble, quite the opposite. He was the model prisoner, polite, compliant. He ate his meals, did his exercises in the tiny cell, and never raised his voice. But he asked questions. Constantly. Hey, where does the waste recycling go? He'd ask a passing guard. What kind of metal are these walls made of? How many guards work each shift? That rumbling sound every morning at 0600. Is that the docking bay? Most of the guards ignored him. Some found it amusing. A few, like Guard Captain Hurricks, found it unsettling. He's cataloging. Krex told Krell during a staff meeting, building a mental map of the facility. So what? Krell replied, mandibles clicking in irritation. Let him build his little map. He's in a sealed cell on level 12. Even if he somehow got out, there are 47 security checkpoints between him and the nearest hangar. There are automated turrets, blast doors, and an entire battalion of guards. He's one human. One. With respect, Warden, we don't know why he's here. We don't know what he did. And we don't need to know. Krell slammed a claw on the table. Central Command sent him. Central Command can worry about him. Our job is to keep him contained, and contained he is. End of discussion. Quirks left the meeting unsatisfied, but he followed orders. He was a soldier. That's what soldiers did. Still, he increased patrols around level 12. Just in case. That's it is, layers. On day 43, something changed. Marcus stopped asking questions. He stopped talking to the guards entirely. He just sat in his cell, eyes closed, breathing slowly. What's he doing? A young guard named Plex asked Vixtan. Meditating, I think. Humans do that, some kind of mental exercise. For 3 days straight? Vixtan shrugged. Maybe he's finally accepting his fate. Happens sometimes. Prisoners go through stages. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. He's probably in the last one. But Marcus wasn't accepting anything. He was listening. Every sound, every vibration, every hum and buzz and clank. The facility had a rhythm, and Marcus was learning it. The way a musician learns a song, the way a safecracker learns the tumblers of a lock. 0600 hours, Hawking Bay operations.
Heavy machinery, loud.
Good for covering noise. 0800 hours. Guard shift, change on level 12. Approximately 4-minute window of reduced patrols. 1200 hours. Meal delivery. Doors open, food trays slide in, doors close. Automated. But the automation had timing. The 1600 hours. Environmental system maintenance. Air circulation increases, temperature drops by 2 degrees. 2200 hours. Power rotation. The force fields flicker for 0.03 seconds. It was a symphony of predictability, and Marcus was conducting. On day 50 he opened his eyes and smiled. "But so. Warden, we have a problem." Krell looked up from his morning reports to see Captain Hurek standing in his doorway, looking agitated. "What now?" "The human cell. There's damage." "Damage? What kind of damage?" "Come see for yourself." Krell followed Hurek down to level 12, irritation building with every step. When they reached Omega 7 he saw what Hurek meant. The wall. The supposedly impenetrable reinforced wall of Marcus's cell. There was a scratch on it. One scratch, maybe 2 centimeters long, barely visible. "This?" Krell stared at Rex. "You brought me down here for this." "Sir, that wall is made of compressed durasteel alloy. It would take industrial cutting equipment to mark it. The prisoner has no tools, no weapons. How did he do that?" Krell moved closer, examining the scratch. It was superficial. "Check his cell. Maybe he's hiding something." Guards flooded in, scanning every surface, every corner. They found nothing. Marcus stood calmly in the center, hands behind his back watching them work. "Nothing, Warden," Vixtan reported. Krell turned to Marcus. "How did you do that?" Marcus raised an eyebrow. "Do what?" "The scratch, on the wall." "Oh, that." Marcus smiled. "Fingernail." "Fingernail?" Krell looked at the human's hands. The nails were short, blunt, hardly weapons. "That's impossible." "Is it? Humans have keratin in our nails, whole same stuff as claws, just softer, but with enough pressure, enough repetition, over enough time. Well, water carves canyons, Warden, given time, even the softest thing can shape the hardest." "You've been scratching the wall?" Crix asked, incredulous. "Little bit every day. Mostly at night, when you dim the lights, when the patrols are lighter. It's therapeutic, really. Keeps the hands busy." Krell felt that uncomfortable sensation again, the one he'd had the first day Marcus arrived. "Why?" he asked. Marcus's smile widened. "Just wanted to see if I could." The guards sealed up the cell and left. Krell ordered around-the-clock monitoring. Cameras were adjusted. Sensor sensitivity was increased, but the damage was done. Not to the wall. To the staff's confidence. Because if the human could mark durasteel with his fingernails, what else could he do? What else was he planning? "Get me a shoe." 2 weeks later, at exactly 2200 hours, the power rotated. 0.03 seconds. It was enough. Marcus moved. He'd been practicing the motion in his head for days, every muscle committed to memory. The exact angle, the exact force. Just during meal delivery that day, he'd palmed a small piece of the tray, thin metal, flexible. He'd bent it, shaped it, using the rough floor of his cell as an abrasive. It wasn't much, but it didn't need to be much. When the force field flickered, his hand shot through the gap. The makeshift tool jammed into the door's mechanical lock, the backup system that engaged during power rotations. Click. The door opened. Marcus stepped into the corridor. Level 12 stretched before him, dark and quiet. Somewhere above, alarms would trigger in approximately 30 seconds when the system detected the open door. That gave him half a minute head start. He started running. Behind him, in his cell, a scratch on the wall gleamed in the dim light. A reminder, everything has a weakness. Everything can be broken. Even a prison that had held for 1,000 years. The sirens began to wail. End of Part 1. Retreus Count and Udit, Part 2. The sirens screamed through Complex 93 like wounded animals, and Warden Krell felt his stomach drop into his lower thorax. "All units, level 12, Omega Sector." Captain Hurex's voice boomed through every speaker in the facility. "Prisoner, escape in progress. Repeat, prisoner, escape." Krell burst into the security command center, all 4 eyes locked on the holographic display showing the facility's layout. A red dot blinked on level 12, moving fast. Too fast. "How?" Hall demanded, watching the dot weave through corridors. How did he get out? Power rotation, sir. The duty officer, a Brell technician named Quinn, pulled up the logs, her 3 fingers flying over the controls, while he bypassed the force field during the 0.03-second window. That's impossible. Nobody can move that fast. Apparently humans can, Rex said grimly, already suited up in combat armor. He's heading toward the central shaft. If he reaches the vertical transit system, he won't. Krell snapped. Seal all access points. Lock down every door between him and the transit system. Deploy all available guards. I want that human caught and sedated within the next 10 minutes, or every single one of you will be demoted to waste management duty. Marcus ran. His bare feet slapped against the cold metal floor, the prison uniform flapping around him like a flag. Behind him, he could hear the thunder of boots. Guards, lots of them. Good. The more they sent after him, the fewer would be guarding the places he actually needed to go. He took a sharp left at an intersection, his hands slapping the wall for balance. His fingers found the junction box he'd heard being serviced 2 weeks ago. He ripped it open, exposing wires and circuits. There. A guard rounded the corner, plasma rifle raised. Freeze. Prisoner. Marcus grabbed 2 wires and yanked them loose, touching them together. The lights went out. Emergency backup lights flickered on after 3 seconds, bathing everything in red, but 3 seconds was enough. Marcus had already vaulted over a railing, dropping down to the maintenance level below. He hit the grating hard, rolled, came up running. Level 11 now, 1 level closer to where he needed to be. He's dropping levels, Quinn reported, tracking Marcus through the sensor grid, moving towards Section 7. Section 7? Krell pulled up that area on the display. There's nothing in Section 7 except, oh no, the armory, Krix guessed. Worse, the environmental control hub. Understanding dawned on Harx's face. If he tampers with life support, he could kill everyone in the facility, including himself. Krell finished. Unless he has a pressure suit stashed somewhere. Do we have any missing suits? Checking inventory now, Quinn said, her fingers dancing. All suits accounted for. Then he's bluffing. He has to be. No human would commit suicide just to make a point. Eric's wasn't so sure. Sir, we still don't know what he did to end up here.
Oh, what if he's unbalanced?
Krell's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of stress. Fine. Evacuate non-essential personnel from levels 10 through 13. Seal the environmental hub with a level 9 containment field, and get me a direct line to Central Command. If this human wants to play games, I'll have him transferred to a black site so deep, light itself can't escape. Marcus didn't go to the environmental hub. He ran past it, barely slowing down, letting the guards see him on their sensors long enough to commit their forces. Then he doubled back through a maintenance duct he'd heard being cleaned 4 weeks ago. Tight fit. Barely enough room for his shoulders, but humans were flexible. Another survival trait. He crawled through the duct, counting his movements. 50 meters forward, turn right, 20 meters, drop down. The schematic was in his head, built from weeks of listening, questioning, and piecing together fragments of overheard conversations. He emerged in level 10, Section 3. The medical bay. Specifically the medical storage room. Got you, Marcus whispered, accessing the door panel. It was locked, naturally. But medical bays had override codes for emergencies. He'd watched a guard punch in the sequence during a drill 3 weeks ago. 6 digits. He'd memorized them from the sound each button made. Different tones, different pitches. He entered the code. The door opened. Inside, rows of supplies. Bandages, scanners, surgical tools. And in the back corner, what he actually needed. Chemical compounds, sedatives, stimulants, and most importantly, industrial solvents used for sterilizing equipment. Marcus grabbed 3 bottles, stuffing them into his uniform. He also took a scalpel, some synthetic tubing, and a pressurized air canister used for cleaning sensitive instruments. Prisoner located, level 10, medical bay, a voice shouted from the corridor. Marcus turned to see 4 guards rushing toward him, weapons raised. He didn't run. Instead, he opened one of the solvent bottles and poured it across the floor, creating a slick barrier between himself and the guards. Stop right there. The lead guard, a massive Korthian with 4 arms, bellowed. There's nowhere left to run, human. Marcus held up the pressurized canister. You know what this is? Cleaning equipment. the Corthian said, confused. Compressed air, on about 300 psi. You know what happens if I spray it on that solvent? The Corthian's eyes widened. The fumes, they're flammable. Very flammable, Marcus confirmed. One spark and this whole room goes up, along with me, you four, and probably half this level. All medical bays store a lot of volatile compounds. You're bluffing, another guard said. But his voice wavered. Am I? Marcus smiled.
Me?
Here's the thing about humans. We're really good at mutually assured destruction. It's kind of our specialty. We're the species that invented nuclear weapons and then built enough of them to sterilize our own planet 12 times over. We're not exactly known for our survival instinct when we're angry. The guards hesitated. That was all Marcus needed. He threw the canister directly at them, and they flinched, diving for cover. Marcus sprinted in the opposite direction. Through a side exit, the guard's shouts fading behind him. He didn't have a canister anymore, but he had the solvents and a plan. In the command center, Krell watched the chaos unfold with growing horror. He's toying with us, Prick said quietly. Every move is calculated. He's not trying to escape. He's trying to what? Krell demanded. I don't know, but he's going somewhere specific. Look at his path. Prick's traced Marcus's route on the display. He's not moving randomly. He's spiraling inward, toward the facility's core. The core? Krell pulled up that section. That's where we keep the main reactor. But it's sealed behind triple reinforced blast doors. He'd need military-grade explosives to even scratch them. Sir, Quinn interrupted, her voice tight. I'm detecting a chemical smell in Section 8. Analysis shows, oh no. What? He's mixing compounds. The solvents from medical, combined with, think he's creating a makeshift acid. Acid. Krell's voice rose 3 octaves. From cleaning supplies. Humans are terrifyingly good at improvised chemistry, Prick said grimly. On their homeworld they've turned household items into weapons, explosives, even primitive power sources. It's one of the reasons they were flagged as a potential threat species by the Galactic Council. Krell felt something cold settle in his chest. How much damage could his acid do? To the blast doors? Minimal. But to electrical systems, wiring, sensor arrays, Rex trailed off. They both turned to look at the display. At the path Marcus was taking, toward the main power junction. Stop him, Krell said flatly. Use lethal force if necessary. I don't care what Central Command says. If he reaches that junction, he could black out the entire facility. Marcus found the power junction exactly where he'd calculated it would be. A massive room, 3 stories tall, filled with conduits and transformers, and enough raw electricity to power a small city. The door was locked. Naturally. But locks were just metal and circuits, and Marcus had acid. He poured the compound carefully along the door's seal, watching as it hissed and bubbled, eating through the material. Primitive? Yes. Effective? Absolutely. The seal weakened. Marcus kicked the door. Hard. His bare foot screaming in protest, but the door giving way. He stumbled into the power junction room and stopped. It was beautiful. In a terrifying sort of way. Energy hummed through every surface. The air tasted like ozone and copper. And in the center of it all, a control panel. Marcus approached it carefully, very aware that one wrong move could electrocute him into ash. Webb, Captain Rex's voice boomed from behind him. Step away from the controls. Marcus turned slowly. Rex stood in the doorway, flanked by a dozen guards, all with weapons trained on him. Can't do that, Captain, Marcus said calmly. You're cornered. Whatever you're planning, it's over. Is it? Marcus gestured at the power junction. See, here's the thing about facilities like this. They're designed to be secure from the outside. All the defenses point outward. But from the inside, from the very heart of the system, they're surprisingly vulnerable. If you shut down power, you'll die along with everyone else. Herges said. I'm not going to shut it down. Marcus's hand hovered over the control panel. I'm going to overload it. That's insane. Maybe. But here's what happens when this junction overloads. First, there's a massive power surge. Every system in the facility gets fried. Doors unlock. Force fields collapse. Communication goes dark. And most importantly, the docking bay's magnetic seals disengage. Rex's expression changed. So understanding and fear. The ships, he whispered. The ships, Marcus confirmed. Automated cargo transports. They come and go every 6 days. I've been counting. Today is day 54, which means there's a transport docked right now, loading supplies. If the seals drop, emergency protocols launch the ship automatically to prevent damage. And if I time this right, if I create enough chaos, enough confusion, you'll be on that ship, Prisk finished. Marcus smiled. Give the Corthian a prize. We'll shoot you before you reach the docking bay. Will you? In the dark with alarms blaring, with every door in the facility unlocked and every prisoner potentially loose, you'll have your hands full just maintaining basic order. You think you'll have time to chase one human through the chaos? The guards shifted nervously. They could see the logic in Marcus's words, and they didn't like it. Why? Rex asked. Why go through all this?
You were sentenced here for a reason.
Running will only make things worse. Worse? Marcus laughed. A sharp, bitter sound. Captain, I was sentenced for refusing to let my planet be strip-mined by corporate interests. I organized resistance, peaceful resistance. We filed lawsuits, held protests, blocked equipment, and you know what the Galactic Council decided? That I was a terrorist. That protecting my home made me a criminal. That's not... So yeah, I'm running. And I'm going to keep running. And every facility they lock me in, every prison they throw me into, I'm going to find a way out. Because that's what humans do. Like we adapt. We overcome. We survive. It's literally hardwired into our DNA. It's literally hardwired into our DNA. Marcus's hand moved toward the panel. Last warning, Webb. Rex raised his weapon. Marcus looked him in the eye. You're going to tell the Warden something for me? Tell him his 1,000-year record? It's broken. He slammed his palm down on the overload switch. The world exploded into light and sound. Power surged through every circuit, every wire, every conduit. Lights blazed white-hot and burst. Transformers screamed. The control panel erupted in sparks, and Marcus ran. He ran through the blinding light, feeling electricity dance across his skin. He ran through corridors, suddenly plunged into darkness, emergency systems wailing. He ran past cells whose doors had blown open, past confused prisoners stumbling into freedom. Behind him, guards shouted, weapons fired. But in the chaos, in the absolute pandemonium, their shots went wide. Marcus reached level 3. The docking bay was close now, so close. An explosion rocked the facility. Secondary power grid, probably. Or maybe a fuel line. Didn't matter. What mattered was the docking bay door ahead, hanging open, emergency lights flashing red. And beyond it, the cargo transport, engines already firing up for automatic launch. Marcus sprinted down the final corridor, legs burning, lungs screaming. 20 meters. 10. 5. A plasma bolt seared past his head, so close he felt the heat. He dove forward, rolling across the docking bay floor, scrambling toward the transport's loading ramp. Close the bay doors, someone screamed. But the doors were fried. The magnetic seals were offline. Line emergency protocols had already initiated. Marcus grabbed the transport's ramp as it began to retract. His fingers slipped. For one terrible moment he thought he'd fall, that after everything, after all the planning and the pain and the preparation, he'd fail at the last second. Then his other hand shot out, caught a different handhold, and he hauled himself up with every ounce of strength left in his body. The ramp sealed shut. The transport launched. Through the small viewport, Marcus could see Complex 93 falling away, its lights flickering like a dying star. He collapsed on the floor of the cargo hold, chest heaving, body trembling. He'd done it. He'd actually done it. After 1,000 years, someone had escaped Complex 93. And that someone was human. In the command center, Warden Krell stared at the empty space where the transport had been, his 4 eyes wide with disbelief. He's gone, Quinn said quietly. Krell said nothing. Sir? Rex approached carefully. What are your orders? For a long moment, Krell just stood there. Then slowly, his mandibles began to click. Not in anger. In something that might have been respect. Send a message to Central Command, he said finally. Tell them they were right to classify this prisoner's file. Tell them the human designated Marcus Webb has escaped Complex 93. And tell them, he paused. Tell them they're going to need a bigger prison. Because if there was one thing Krell understood now, one lesson that had been burned into his mind over the past 54 days, it was this. Humans didn't break like other species. They didn't give up. They didn't accept their fate. They scratched at walls until they bled. They turned cleaning supplies into weapons. They counted seconds and memorized sounds and built maps in their minds. They found the cracks in every system, the flaws in every design, the gaps in every defense. And when you locked them up, when you thought you'd contained them, when you believed your prison was unbreakable, they proved you wrong. 3 weeks later, in a bar on the outer rim of civilized space, Marcus Webb sat nursing a drink and watching the news feed. Unprecedented security breach at Detention Complex 93, the anchor said, her voice grave. Officials are still investigating how the facility's perfect containment record was broken after 1,000 years. The escaped prisoner, a human, remains at large. Marcus smiled. His hand, bandaged from acid burns and electrical shocks, raised his glass in a silent toast. To humanity. To stubbornness. To the simple, beautiful fact that no cage could hold them forever. Somewhere in the galaxy, in a dozen, 100, 1,000 other prisons, other humans heard the news. And they started planning. Because Marcus Webb hadn't just escaped Complex 93. He'd sent a message. We can get out. All of us. We just have to be patient. We just have to be smart. We just have to be human.